Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Cub Content Studio on the Pull Tab Sports Network. We are really happy to be here. We're the Gambling Guys. Podcast number 2, David. Podcast number 2. Can you believe it?
Love it. And it's timely because it's Super Bowl and we're Tuesday night.
So it's episode number 2. And as you might imagine, it's Super Bowl week. So I'm thinking maybe we should talk about highlight or lacrosse this week. What do you think?
I was thinking cricket.
Cricket. All right, let's talk about cricket. No, what we really want to talk about today, guys, is the Super Bowl. Obviously, I mean, where the betting lines are. I think David's done a little bit of research. Hopefully, somebody in this group has. So, David Casino, Parlay Pete. I changed my name, by the way. Last week I was W2 Pete. This week I'm Parlay Pete, and I would not prefer to know what you're calling me, but I'm sure there's something there.
I like prop bet or Parlay Pete, but are you going to tell the listeners why you decided to go against W2 Pete?
Maybe we should throw a teaser back to episode 1. They have to listen to it. No, I'm Parlay Pete. But I am Parlay Pete, and I'll tell you why, and it's not a good story. I signed up for Sleeper. I've been betting on Sleeper. My 27-year-old son got me into it. I believe it was my first 20 bets. Is that what I told you?
I got it down as 0 for 20.
0 for 20. So I'm 0 for 20 on my first 20 parlays. So we'll talk about that today as well. We'll talk about the Super Bowl. We'll talk about the actual sports betting line, the money line. We'll talk about the over-under. We'll talk about any parlays we want to talk about. And then we'll get into the individual parlay prop betting that you can do in Minnesota legally through sites, multiple sites. I use Sleeper. There are other ones out there. There's you can even use FanDuel. I believe you can use DraftKings for these kind of bets. And I think someone told me, what was it? Prize
Picks.
Prize Picks. That's a good one as well.
We'll have to pull that up next time, the apps. I know you use Sleeper, and when you were 0 for 20, for the record, I decided on Saturday to bet on one simple Kansas Jayhawk basketball game against the 4th-ranked Houston game. 19-year-old and 21-year-old daughters. We decided to pull up the app and bet a $5. And for the record, we're 1-0. Just for the record.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So your 19-year-old, your 20-year-old, and you put your heads together
for $5 American.
And you got a sleeper bet down.
Sleeper bet 3 ways.
3 ways. Okay. That maybe is my problem. I've been betting 5 or 6 ways, but I'm looking for big multiples.
I know you are. We'll get into that. Yeah. But it is Super Bowl. So here's where we're at. It's Tuesday night, a few days before Super Bowl.
It is.
It's going to be taking place in Las Vegas, as you so already know. Let me just get a couple of quiz things out there for you and our fans and listeners for Vegas. All right.
Podcast quiz.
So, true or false, is this the first Super Bowl being held in Las Vegas?
Well, that's obviously true.
Yeah, there you go. See, if you were betting like this, you'd be 1 for 20 now.
So I'm 1 for 20. So I won the first mythical $5.
You are, $5.
All right.
Parlay Pete. There we go. Okay.
Sweet.
I got a little bit of some stats around Vegas and what was being brought in to Vegas right now this week, and especially this weekend. So I'm going to quiz you. So ADR is a term that they use in Las Vegas called the average daily rate.
Average daily rate.
Think of the rate you pay minus like resort fees and taxes and stuff for the casinos. Now there are like 393 hotels. They're not all on the strip. We can do it by strip later on, but I thought I would just run all the casinos in Las Vegas proper. There's 172,000 rooms. What do you think the average daily rate for this weekend, February 9th through the 11th, is if you're staying in Vegas?
So as a bettor, I have a few questions first.
Okay.
You're talking about this weekend as a Super Bowl weekend. This is not just an average daily rate for the second weekend in February, right?
Yes, this February 9th through the 11th only.
Okay. So this February 9th through the 11th as the Super Bowl weekend.
By the way, you can't Google. I see you over there Googling it.
I am not Googling. I am
what
actually just looking up some notes that I took, and it has nothing to do with the average daily rate, so I'm kind of bummed about it, but because I wanted to win this $5. And you're talking about every single hotel in basically Las Vegas, that 393 hotels.
So at the No-Tell Motel down 3 miles south on the strip where you and your wife stay, you take that into consideration next to the Wynn. So how much do you think?
So usually I start staying at the RA, and by the third day I have to go to the no-tell motel.
It's like the double suites in or something.
Yeah, it's like you're out. Can I get some cab fare? Yes. Well, for those of you, there's these things called taxis, and you take them everywhere, but most people take Uber. So anyway, average daily rate, 173,000 hotel rooms. I have to factor in the no-tell motel selling by the hour. I'm going to go with, God, this is a tough one.
3, 2, 1.
$472.12.
So here's what I was going to say. If you're within $100, you win. You're within 101, so I win. I get to make up the rules as I go. $573.87.
You got to give me credit for getting that close.
That was actually pretty close. I mean, it only took you 4 minutes to come up with it.
Okay. Well,
so we're going to have to speed up a little bit or skip some. So they also calculate the average revenue generated by each room.
So I'm
per night.
Average revenue per room per night.
Gambled in the casino.
This is the gambling.
This is a very interesting stat. I would have thought it was higher maybe, but then again, I think a lot of people go there and don't gamble all that much. So per night, like say you and I are going there and we're spending $578.
Right.
What are we going to spend? Hypothetically only, what you think that Vegas is going to bring in this weekend, the 9th through the 11th.
Per night.
Per person per night.
In all of those hotel rooms?
Yep.
Okay. So 173,000. I'm betting the high rollers are going big money. Then you got the nickel dimers, but there's mostly medium to high rollers there because who's going to pay $400 and $573 per
573? Yeah,
per night. I'm going to bet gambling on a per diem basis. What do I got to be in?
Another $100.
Another $100. I'm going to bet $757.
Yeah, it's 504.
What?
Yeah.
Well, per night, if you think about that. Yeah. I mean, the average person's there for 4 nights stay, probably.
Bringing $2,000 to gamble in? I mean, not you and I, though, because we don't bring that. We bring 20 a night and limited, of course. Okay.
$20.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to compare it to something. So I obviously, along with Parlay Pete, are not going to be in Vegas over the Super Bowl. We will be for the Masters. So that's going to be for a futures bet coming up, which is going to be fantastic. But I was there for the Formula One, the first time of the Formula One race.
Okay. This was in November, correct?
Yeah, and it was wild. So that $573 a night, that same average daily rate, what do you think the Formula One brought in?
573. So that's the hotel rate. Oh, let's go with. Oh, that was pretty high, I think. So I'm going to go with 672.
Yeah, I'm going to give you that one, 629. Okay. And if you think about it, $50 more per night per room is a lot of money. I also looked at occupancy. Occupancy is going to be just under 90% this weekend for Super Bowl.
Yep.
And it was at 91% for Formula One. Just watching the people, obviously we're not there for Super Bowl weekend, but for Formula One, there were so many people from all over the world.
When you walked through the casino, was it crazy?
So just to give you an idea, the race night on Saturday night, when we went back, race ended at like midnight or so, and walking through Bellagio. We stayed at Park MGM. Okay. So we're walking through Bellagio. Yeah. Minimum table bets for roulette, blackjack, and craps at Bellagio. And I'm not talking high stakes. I'm talking when you walk through.
Right. There's that row of tables.
And then you turn and you go. Yeah. What do you think the minimum was?
I'm betting minimum, when I see it on a regular Friday or Saturday night, it's somewhere around, starts approaching $100-ish.
Formula One night?
Yeah.
$300.
$300
minimum
per bet.
Think about craps. And if we're, when we're going to do a crap strategy, both on the positive and the dark side,
right?
Think about the minimum bet and how much money you have. It was crazy the amount of money.
So if you lay down a minimum 300 on the pass line and then you got to back it up with odds, if you're getting a 10 or a 4, you're laying down 1,500 in odds on the backside.
Or if they let you take max at 10, it's $3,000. So all of a sudden you have 3,300 minimum bet.
3,300 on the craps table. Just odds. Wow.
Crazy, isn't it?
You better hope for some numbers right away, right? So conversely, if you're betting the dark side, you got to put a lot more out there in order to make that, right?
I was talking to a buddy who we might have on that loves the dark side, and he was saying, we're usually playing a $10 table. I mean, the amount of bankroll you would need is crazy. So let me play this in.
That's nuts, dude.
Last one, tickets for the Super Bowl. What do you think the minimum ticket is going right now?
Minimum ticket, so nosebleeder as far up as you can get in at the Super Bowl.
By the way, unvalidated. This is just a little Google and Baird AI search engine. So let's go with the Google is correct.
The Google's always correct.
What do you think the minimum
when it
ticket
comes to
is?
betting? I've tried it. I'm going to say $3,100.
$5,744.
That's the minimum ticket value that you saw for sale for Super Bowl tickets at this point.
Yep. Up to 100 G's.
100 G's.
So let me ask you,
to a Super Bowl.
even if Green Bay, who could have pulled it off to get there this year, we'll talk about that.
I don't know if they would
you're a
have
Green
that
Bay
far.
fan.
Yeah, I am.
Would you pay 57? And if you had the money, would you pay 6 digits?
No, I wouldn't.
It's tough, isn't it?
I have a hard time going to a sporting event that's when I look at sporting events and I look at the dollars that I either bet on them or going to an actual event, and I've done a lot of this comparison lately, especially with concerts and things like that. My wife likes concerts. I look at the dollar value that I get per hour, right? So if you're in that place, and let's say it's 4 hours complete, maybe even 5 because they have a lot of security and you want to get there and you want to see them warm up because you're paying 5 G's.
Yeah.
That's a G every hour, $1,000. I would rather lay that on the line on a craps table.
And watch it while you're playing craps.
Right. Exactly.
Insert, that's why the
Exactly.
gambling guys are here as degenerates. Probably a good time to say, don't take any of our advice as betting the mortgage.
Right. Exactly.
All right, so I know you're going to get into some numbers here with the Super Bowl, and I'm going to let you do that here in just a second. But I pulled up the line on the last 26 Super Bowls. Back to 1998. So the line ranged anywhere from, believe it or not, 33 was the low 1 year.
Over under?
The over and under was
Okay.
33. It was crazy, and they only made it. They only made it at 41, so just barely over.
Okay.
And the highest is like 57.5. I think right now we're rolling at 47.5 at the big books in Vegas, MGM and Caesars. Take a guess on. So there's 26 of them, right?
Yep.
How many are under and how many are over?
Oh, as far as the final is concerned?
Yep. Just so, for example, last year it was 51.5 and the score was 38-35. So it was an over.
So I would say 26 of them, I would say most of them are about defense that I've I would put on 26, I would put 18 on the under.
See, it's so funny. I would have done the opposite. I did that myself and thought they want a good game and they want a lot of scoring. It's literally dead even at 13-13. So here we go. It's kind of a coin flip on the under and over. Vegas is really good. The one trend that I saw is the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I just gave you, there's one over. The other 4 were under. So under, and over. But I think this is going to be another over year. It's 47.5. I just don't think, Purdy was scrambling, not only scrambling for a few yards, but quite a few yards. And Patrick Mahomes, what are you thinking there, Parlay?
I think I agree with the over on this game. I think you've got too much firepower coming from Mahomes, Kelsey, right? I think there's a big play here on the over. If I'm a betting man, which I am, I'm hammering the over at this point at 47.5, right? I think that's probably the way to go as far as the money is concerned. I probably am taking the Chiefs too. It's a 2-point. The opening line was 2.5.
Yep, and I think some are there's one that's holding at 2.5, but a lot aren't you seeing 1.5?
Yeah, I think FanDuel might be holding at 2.5. I think the Vegas odds makers are at 2 at this point. And I think there's money flowing in. And you had told me something, I think, a week or two ago about where the money was. And I was talking to Kinger about this earlier, I think a lot of emotional money comes in right away, right? And I think they set the line trying to get a lot of Midwest money into it, and I think it came right away and brought that line down about 0.5 point. A lot of money coming in on KC because they're getting 2.5.
So that insert the Taylor Swift ratio of this or multiplier. So the emotional buddy that's in what percent of public bets right now are for Kansas City?
What percentage of the bets are for Kansas City? So if it started at 2.5 and it's now at 2, that means money's coming in on Kansas City. I'm going to say 4% of the money is coming in from Kansas City.
71. But here's the deal. So I won
71%.
I made 2 mythical $5 bets and you only won. I'm going to give you a half on that one. We're just going to call it even on the mythical bet so far on 5-5.
Okay. Well, I mean,
so what okay, so now you've been looking at, you were 0 for 20.
I'm 0 for 20.
Do you want to tell the listeners what you think is looking good for your prop bets there, prop bet Pete?
Well,
no, parlay Pete.
I just happen to have, you don't call me prop bet, but that's true. I just happen to have Sleeper up on my phone. Weird, right? And I'm looking at it and I'm seeing a lot of pretty little faces showing up at me on the Chiefs side, right? Although they're both in red uniforms. So there you go. I like Patrick Mahomes on 261 passing yards. I like him on an over, right? So that's a multiple of 1.74. Okay. And then I'm always a big McCaffrey guy, but 91.5 rushing yards seems like quite a bit. The Chiefs have not typically had a great rushing defense, but in the playoffs, I think they've been a little better than that. So I'm going to take the under on McCaffrey on 91.5 yards, and that's a 1.7 multiple. Okay. So that parlay that with George Kittle half. I took the over on an anytime TD.
Anytime. It's at 0.5?
0.5.
So anytime TD.
Yeah.
That's probably a pretty good bet. Yep. They're going to target him a bunch, right?
Now, remember, I'm 0 for 20. Okay. So that's 3, right? I took your advice and only went with 4 bets. And in Sleeper in particular, you have to bet the other side of with at least 1 bet, right? So I took Brock Purdy on the under on passing TDs at 1.5.
Under. So you're going to bet over. We were mythically talking about over 47.5, but then you're thinking he's not going to throw that many touchdowns.
I think they run it in. You got some
variables. You're going to run it in.
I think they run it in. All right, so let's keep track of this, because if we're going to put...
All right, give it to me one more time. I know everybody's listening. We'll do it fast.
Mahomes in the over, McCaffrey in the under on rushing yards. Mahomes is the over on passing yards.
Under.
I've got Kittle on an anytime TD on the over.
Yep.
And I've got Purdy on... That's kind of betting against myself.
Well, that's what I was trying to tell you. But, I mean, it's tough enough being in your own head. So
son of a bitch. No wonder I'm losing.
It's 0 for 20. I mean, sooner or later, you will keep losing.
I'm going to change that.
I think that's
I'm not going with the Purdy under. I'm going with the Kelsey 71.5 receiving yards.
Why don't you just switch it and go Purdy over, and then you can just root for a high-scoring, fun game? Or do you want to bring in our Taylor Swift fans here? Because I know it's changed football. I mean, it's hard to argue. Insert laughter here. I know we're on a podcast. You can't see our faces, but...
Okay, so if I do this and put in Kelsey on the...
Again, not taking my advice. I'm taking note of this.
Just, hold on. And I'll take the over on Purdy, okay?
Now you got 5. Now you're just, again, okay, you just keep going.
What was my other bet, by the way?
Oh, my God. You got Mahomes is over. You got McCaffrey is under. You got, now I even wrote it down. Not Kelsey. You got Kittle as a anytime TD.
Oh,
and then you had Purdy is under. I just think you changed Purdy is over.
I don't get Kittle. They blocked that one out because there's some
Purdy over.
So I'm going to take Purdy on the over. I'm going to take Kelsey on the over of 6.5 receptions. I'm going to take McCaffrey on the under, and I'm going to take Mahomes on the over at 261.5 yards.
So
that's an 8-time multiplier.
Yeah.
I'm locking in the bet right now.
$20 bet?
$20 bet. I'm locking it in right now.
Turns it into 160.
Locked it in.
Are you doing it on Sleeper?
160.60 is what this pays. Lock it in. It's done. I won.
There we go. You've got a free cancellation in 4 minutes and 48.
I will 47. Let you buy this bet from me for $100 right now.
You're terrible. You're horrible.
Hey, we should talk about take a break and talk about Jimmy's for a second, huh? Because that's one of our sponsors, and I'm a big fan. Do you want to say a few things about Jimmy's real quick?
Well, it's Super Bowl time, right? It's officially dip season, folks.
is.
Sports are coming down to the heart of the season. It's a perfect time to veg out with Jimmy's.
Vegging out.
Maybe you're looking to get a little color on your plate and have a healthy start to 2024. Make sure you grab some vegetables and one of Jimmy's dips. Jimmy's dips use only grade A sour cream and the highest quality ingredients. No filler, no alternatives. Jimmy uses only fresh ingredients, fresh for maximum flavor. Onions, garlic, parsley, peeled and cut in-house by hand. Look for Jimmy's dill dip, original ranch, smoky ranch, and Jimmy's spinach and fruit dips in the produce section at local grocers like Cub. Coming to the Club Content Studio right here.
So just for you, Jimmy's, that smoky ranch, you do a little bit of that with a steamed vegetable, just kind of pour it over the top of it. I do, because you and I have both kind of been in that, try to cut down our carbs bit. So I've been doing a lot of protein and a lot of vegetables.
Do you know what? I didn't know you and I have done the quick trip stop for some pizza or chicken strips on the way to the casino. But did you know Jimmy's has got veggie trays there? They have them there and at holidays. So let's make sure that we're doing a good plug for one of our sponsors here, Jimmy's Salad Dressings and Dips. So make sure you're grabbing a healthy snack or solo and get that party rocking for Sunday. Well, Jimmy's got you covered. Don't be messing with my dressing.
You're going to a Super Bowl party, you stop and grab a tray, right? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And grab some ranch for the buffalo.
What are you doing for Super Bowl?
Oh, thought I was hanging with you, but apparently not.
We're making a Super Bowl board. Do we want to talk about that?
We could do a Super Bowl board. I think everybody does a Super Bowl board. Let's talk about it.
Well,
What do you think the payouts should be on a Super Bowl board? Because you and I debated this a little bit.
100 squares.
100 squares, 0 through 9 on both sides, vertical and horizontal axis, right? If the squares are $5 a piece, you got $500 to divvy up. What would you pay on a Super Bowl board?
Well, I was going to do, I can back into it because that's a good, I just don't know if everyone's going to pay $5 a square. Like if you got family and neighbors over, they might grab 10 squares for $5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was going to do a percentage.
Okay.
Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and 4. What if you did 10%, 30% for halftime? So 10% payout.
Yep.
Whatever money you bring in, 10% you're going to pay out in Q1.
So $50 on a $500 board is first quarter.
Math is much better than your parlay piece. That was 1 for 1 on that one. Let's see if we can keep it going because hopefully you get 4 out of 4 on this one.
All right.
30% for halftime.
So when the score is 21-10 and I got 1-0, it's $150.
You're doing pretty darn good.
To me.
Then I thought you'd drop it in Q3. It's kind of like the lull of the season, kind of like what we're dealing with the NBA right now. 20%.
20%'s $100 in the third quarter. I like that. Third quarter is always boring.
And then 40% Q4. No, I keep saying Q. It's my business terminology. Quarter 4.
Quarter 4, final, basically.
Final.
That's $200 for the winner.
What do you think?
Yeah,
Would you change it?
I like that. I don't like the boards that do 25, 25, 25, 25 because it feels like it's anticlimactic, right?
I even thought you could go 10, 20, 10, 50 because you just care about the final score, right?
Yeah, and then if you win a quarter or two, the first and the third, you maybe get your money back.
Yeah,
right.
Are we getting together and doing a board?
Well, if you take 50 squares and I'll take 50 squares, and we'll see what happens from there.
I really hope you win quarter 1 and quarter 3.
I'm sure you do, and I'm sure you're hoping that you win quarter 2 or halftime and quarter 4, right? I mean, I'm assuming that that's the case, right? So let's wrap up some Super Bowl talk. We should make a pick. We should talk a little bit about, I want to get into some betting lines, just some local games that are going to happen here, or our local teams anyway. I want to hit a couple of those money lines as well. So we should, an ongoing bet every single time we do this.
This is called investing in my 401k, 401 Pete. investment. So I will let
401
you
Pete.
make it, and I can accept it or not. How does that sound?
Let's do
Whoever
the
makes the bet gets to. The other person can accept or decline.
Let's do the 401 Pete.
So what do you like?
So in the Super Bowl, I'm going to go. So you got to bet the line,
Well, you can make the.
and you got to bet the over under. So you've got two bets in the Super Bowl you can make. I'm going to take the Chiefs, get the 2 points, and I'm going to go 28-24.
So you're going over as well.
Going over.
Kansas City and over.
Kansas City and over. Getting 2.
Do you know that the last 5 times they've actually covered, and San Francisco hasn't? That's the big talk right now. But do you think they're going to go 6-0 in San Francisco? So I'll take it. I'm going to say that the buck line's going to change. Those 49ers and all those California fans are going to be happy to see Taylor Swift walk out in arms with Travis Kelce and not winners. That sounded really poor, didn't it?
Well, no, because, I mean, when they wake up from the storm they got going and they can get back online, the money's going to start pouring in.
Got it.
Right?
Probably makes for a better story anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, Super Bowl this weekend, February 12th. Is that the day of the Super Bowl? Because the 10th is set. No, the 11th. February 11th. I'm assuming it's starting at some odd time,
5:30 our time.
5:30
so
our time.
3:30 Vegas time. Wouldn't that be crazy? I mean, we're going to be out there with on the Masters, like I've said a couple times, but I'm pumped about that. It's like 63 days away. I just happened to look at my Delta. I was on MGM actually, and it said 63 days away.
Yeah.
So you and I will be there. We'll be watching Thursday morning because of the Masters, and we're going to do some future bets later. But yeah, 3:30 Pacific time, 5:30 Central Time, Super Bowl. We'll come back and report. Okay, but you want to do some local stuff.
Well, before that, I just dawned on me because we talked about it earlier. Let's do a PGA Minute because I think there's an interesting thing that happened this weekend.
Oh, I didn't hear about it, but when you said it on the way up here to the studio, like, please tell me. It's fascinating.
Yeah, so there was some folks out there, and I don't know I didn't get the exact story. I just had talked with a couple folks about it. One of our producers was telling me about it as well, is this weekend at the AT&T Challenge, which is Pro-Am, correct? There was a leaderboard out there. They played through Saturday. And some folks in Vegas figured out that with this atmospheric river happening in California and the weather that was coming in, that there was some speculation that there was no way they'd be able to play the fourth round, whether it was on Sunday or Monday, okay? And apparently, if you bet a 10-way parlay, which I should know as being Parlay Pete, but apparently if you bet a 10-way parlay, that's a huge multiple. Any 10-way parlay is a huge multiple. So a $100 bet, casino, right? $100 bet. $100 bet, David, was going to pay $1 million at the PGA event, at the AT&T Challenge, right? I forget if they call it the AT&T Challenge or AT&T Pro-Am, I think it's called. And some folks figured out that if I bet the exact leaderboard the way it is at the end of Saturday, I can win that parlay. That parlay pays out. If they don't play the final round, then they declare the standings exactly after 54 holes, the way they end up. And so a $100 bet paid $1 million.
Did it pay?
That I don't
Still
know.
Up for, yeah, I just quickly did the old Google, right? And it showed a couple TikToks, and there isn't like an official MGM or Caesars or that book. I'm not sure where they made the bet, but it'll be interesting to follow that because I can't, if it's true that the person bet that, what are the clause that they have that they shouldn't take the bet if there's, well, I don't know. We should do some research on it.
Yeah, we'll report next cast on what happened. I'm pretty sure if I'm the casino, I have a way out of that, right?
Did I tell you, by the way, when I was in Vegas a few years ago, this is right after the Mattress Mac. Have you heard of that guy?
Mattress Mac.
Have you heard of this guy?
No.
So he owns like a furniture store down in Texas, and he bet on, I think it was the Astros, and he bet like $1 million at the Aria book, $1 million at Caesars book. I was down there. I was headed over to that pizza joint. Okay, I can't believe I didn't ever told you this story. And I see all this commotion, and I see these armed guards, but they look like they're for hire, right?
Yep.
And I see this guy, Mattress Mac. He's probably like in his 70s, and he's got a wheelbarrow. He's pushing a wheelbarrow full of, like, I think it was $4 or $7 million. And it was all I'm not kidding you.
What?
Like
And
$1
you're
million
there.
is in a brick of something that's probably 2 feet high by 18 inches wide.
$1
And they're-
bills. Yeah.
Yeah, $1 bills, C notes, but it's still heavy. And he had him wrap. I can't believe I didn't tell you that story.
No.
We should talk about big bets like that and things like that at some point because it's fascinating.
When was this?
Well, I think it was 2 years ago in the World Series.
World Series. And they won. And didn't he give away, if I remember right, didn't he give away a bunch of stuff like in his stores because he did that? Or
Yeah, like a free mattress because his name is Mattress Max. You know, we should probably have our shit together before I start spewing stuff out. But I saw him and I thought, why not pick up your money from a wheelbarrow from the Aria book?
Why not?
You and I have been in there, but we didn't have a wheelbarrow.
Well, I've been in the area and I don't think I've ever needed a wheelbarrow, but we did have a couple W2s there.
We did that
which
morning.
I'm very proud of. And the sportsbook betting, I forget, we bet an Eagles game, we bet a couple other games, and I think we did okay there as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I do. And it's another story that, remember those guys in front of us when we were sitting there and they looked a little stressed and they left and we went and grabbed their slips. And I think there were like 5 Gs on each one.
One guy was 5 Gs deep into a Golden State Warriors game or something, and it did not pay.
And they're just sitting there having a beer like common guys.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of betting out there. It's crazy. That's another, for future topics is let's talk about sports books and where you go, especially around here, like Diamond Joe's.
Only an hour and a half drive from the cities, right?
Yep.
Turtle Lake now has got it in Wisconsin.
Yep. There's a few of them out there.
Let's do that. Because, and maybe we can get some, we got great sponsors here, but maybe we can grab some of those.
Yeah. Speaking of sponsors, we should talk about Duke Cannon because you actually purchased some of their product.
I did. I saw the stuff. They got some awesome stuff here in the studio, and I grabbed it. And
yeah, I mean, they're all about hockey hair, right? And they're all about grooming, right? So I think you purchased, I believe, a bar of soap.
I think it's called the Big Ass Brick of Soap. And it is a big ass brick of soap.
Okay.
It's like probably like 3 doves in one.
And you've tried it and love it.
Yeah, smells great. It's the manly thing. I don't want like a little ivory on me, or I don't want any perfume scent on me.
And you've bought some pomade as well and have had great luck with that as well. I mean, you got a hat on right now, but I'll bet the flow's looking pretty good.
Well, I would say the spike because I don't have much hair, but I appreciate that, Pete.
The one thing I love about Duke Cannon is they are an active supporter of the U.S. military and U.S. military veterans.
Amen.
And a portion of all of their dollars that they bring in goes to veterans and military programs. So we love them for that, right? You can find Duke Cannon obviously online. You can find it at Target, and you can find it at your local hardware store, believe it or not, right? So love those guys, and we thank them for their sponsorship. So let's get to kind of the local corner and talk about. I picked 2 games this week for you to bet. I want you to throw down what you think is a good bet tonight. Our vaunted Minnesota Timberwolves take on the Chicago Bulls at the United Center in Chicago. Okay, the Wolves at this point are giving 5, so they're minus 5 points, and the over/under is 217. If you want to know the money line, I can tell you that too. The Bulls are minus 206. The Bulls are plus 171. So a $100 bet on the Bulls wins you 171. You got to put up 206 to win 100 for the Timberwolves. But let's get to the spread.
Here's what I don't like: mid-season betting. Like, I love it, and I think the T-Wolves, what are they, tied for the Western Conference right now?
Yes.
They're looking great.
Yeah.
But I just call this the 4th inning yawner, right? Like, it's tough to go any sport that's this long. I just don't like to bet it because to me it's more of a crapshoot. Yeah. I think at the beginning when they're hot, right, and towards the end, I'm going to be betting the house because nobody wants it better than any Minnesota fan, even Wisconsin fans. I think maybe not because you got the Bucks. So if you had to put that on me, I want them to win, but I don't think they're going to cover. I think they're barely going to cover and they're going to go under. I know it's not a favorite thing, but I just think it's a sleeper part of the season. Yeah. I think the seasons are fairly too long. That's what I'm saying.
So
I surprised you. So
you're taking the Bulls and taking
5
the
points.
taking the points, and you're taking the under on 270.
I think they win by 4, and it's like 107 to 103 or something.
Interesting.
What if we hit it right on the nuts? By the way,
So
is that one of those multipliers by 10 that we get?
you got Chicago with getting the points, 107, 103.
T-Wolves win 107, 104.
T-Wolves with the win, but not covering.
Yep.
Well, at least you picked the right team to win.
Well, yeah, like I'm going to go against them. I would just, except when we get back in the Packer season, Packer Vikings.
Then you're going to bet against me all day long.
So what do you like before we go on to the last one here?
I actually was going to take the exact opposite of you, so I love it. So for 20, we'll go there. Oh,
you bumped it up to 20. You just slid that in underneath there, huh?
Yeah, well, I like to be pushing my limits.
I like it.
Wild game tomorrow night. We got the Wild Blackhawks, right? Blackhawks are really a rebuilding team. The over/under is 5.5, right? So you get a 3-2 game. You're under, right? Wolves are 1.5.
Wolves,
a goal and a half.
Wild, you mean?
I'm sorry. Wild is a goal and a half.
This might be. We should have some
Favorites.
quality check on your sleeper app, because maybe that's what you're doing. Maybe you're messing up and you switch sports. I'm just looking out for you, bud. Hey,
maybe. Oh yeah, don't leave you hanging.
Okay, so you're thinking the
That's
Wild.
$20. You owe me $20 for that.
What?
I don't know. I
Covering
just thought
it.
he should owe me $20.
I was trying to help you out.
Right.
I misspeak a lot too,
Right.
so there you go. You're thinking the Wild over? 4-2 game? 4-1 game?
I'm thinking it's a 4-2 game with an empty netter at the end and the Wild win, but I'm a homer, right? Blackhawks are at home. This has always been a contested series since the beginning of time. Seacourt sucks, right? And so I think I want the Wild to win 4-2 with an empty netter and cover. I'm not confident in that bet because of these two franchises hating each other, right? Ever since North Star days. So I'm going to place my money on the Wild, and I'm going to place my money on the cover for $25.
25.
Yes.
You're all over the board, Parlay.
Well, the beauty is, like, next podcast, we can literally pull out the spreadsheet and we can see who's winning. And then we're going to have to, I want to settle up with real American dollars
Okay.
at some point.
Okay.
Of course, you're okay with that.
For the record,
Oh, for 20 parlay,
exactly.
Pete. Of course, you're right.
I am more than comfortable with that, but I think we need to tell the viewers that we don't do this for a living. We like getting together and talking about sports and gambling, and we hope that you're listening, and whether you're in your car or wherever you're at, doing some yard work, shoveling, whatever it is.
Right.
But don't look at us as trying to get you some big wins on this one. I mean, maybe if Pete changes it and he's 20 for 0, but all I'm saying is this: it's still a crapshoot, right? Don't you think?
Well, it's interesting. I'll give you a little Vegas tidbit. Danny Sheridan, one of the heavy odds makers, one of the pioneers in odds making in Las Vegas, right? Danny Sheridan, well-known name. Danny Sheridan, what he would do is he would test his lines, especially on big games. And so every week, Danny Sheridan would set the line and he'd send it to 20 of his heavy hitters, heavy bettors, right? 20 people in the industry that he knew and trusted. And he would ask them what side of the line and how they would bet. And then he would take it back in,
Okay.
process it in the Wonkinator, and he would literally reset the line.
Maybe what we could do is something like that. We could talk to our Pull Tab Sports Network here and think if we had some live thing that we're doing and we could get a feed in and we could see where it is, the live time.
I think at this point when we're talking betting, we want to fill up this table at points with people from Pull Tab, especially, Sal, maybe Kinger, maybe Garrity, and every week let's bet, right? Like let's bet inner squad, let's bet, around the table. We even bring in the intern guy. I think his name's Anthony. I'm not sure, but we'll bring him in too, and let's bet, right? Because I love taking money off people, and I'm 0 for 20 on the parlay, so I got to find some place to get my cash.
Wheelbarrow, you know what? That's what we need to do is just put a wheelbarrow in the car and the vehicle on the way up when we go to the casino next. Just because it's like if you're hunting for Moby Dick, you bring tartar sauce, right? Maybe that's where we're wrong all the time.
Well,
we're not going in with a wheelbarrow.
Right. Well, honestly, the way I've been betting, I might need some of the,
You need a wheelbarrow to give it.
Give me something, like let's say it's a Chill Boy sweatshirt, right? Or some underwear, right? Like I'm going to need that because my track record this year is, folks, like David said, don't take our betting seriously because you might be in the poorhouse. But we'll come back with some better statistics, and I think I'm going to win these bets against you, and I think I'm going to win my Super Bowl bet. So you want to? I think you bought some Chill Boys.
I was just going to say, when we went up to the casino that last time, you swung by, and I had an order, right? That Chill Boys sweatshirt.
Yeah,
love it, right?
Yeah,
looks fantastic, and they're one of our huge sponsors. So we want to read something here for you because they're a great sponsor of Pull Tab Sports here.
Another one of our favorites.
We know you've been hearing about Chill Boys' life-changing underwear, and we know that you all love them. But what you might not know is there's 3 key products if you want to become a card-carrying member of the Chill Boys Nation.
Nice.
There's some bamboo boxers, bamboo boxer briefs,
okay,
and performance boxers. Which one are you, by the way, before we go any further?
Well, if I was wearing underwear, I would probably wear the boxer briefs.
That was option number 4.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Got it.
Next time I may be wearing underwear.
Which one would you select if you had to? Would you go with the bamboo boxers because they're more of a relaxed fit, or the bamboo boxer brief, snug for the days you need a little bit hug from Mother Nature?
Yeah.
Okay, a little support system.
Yeah.
You probably don't need that. And then the performance boxer we're getting fancy because this is the relaxed fit. It's a little softer. You know, your wife might think it's like expensive yoga underwear. Turn it into your favorite golf shorts.
Okay, those I do not prefer. The boxers I used to wear when I was like 25, which I have a little boxer dance story to tell you in another episode when we talk about Chill Boys again. The boxer briefs would be my favorite, and I do need a little help.
And it says organized, so you can keep things organized. Here's the one thing that's super cool. If you're listening to this, go to chillboys.com.
Okay.
CHILLBOYS.com. Chillboys.com.
Chillboys.com.
Use pull tab 15 for 15% off. Again, pull tab 15. Take a look at it. They have great stuff beyond the boxers and the briefs. Like I said, that sweatshirt I got, I love it.
Chillboys.com, as I'm sitting here going on it, and you can all see that. Actually, you can't see this. And
he's doing it, and then put something in the cart, pull tab 15.
Oh, this is
love it.
Sweet underwear. I might start wearing underwear again. Well, actually, I should wear underwear anyway.
Do we have anything left on the Super Bowl episode here?
No, I would just say, I'm super excited to watch the Super Bowl in Vegas. I think you are too. We are going to be in Vegas basically 2 months after the Super Bowl. You were there for the Formula One. There's no place like Vegas. There's no place like the sports books. There's no place like betting in the casinos. We're more to come on that in future episodes as we talk about casino betting as well. But I am excited to watch the Super Bowl. I'm super excited that these major leagues are starting to embrace Las Vegas and not be afraid that their players, their coaches, their managers, whoever it is going to, ruin themselves by betting and bet on, I don't think you're going to see it. And I love it. So that's all I'll say. I'm fired up to talk about it next week.
I'm not excited about the game. There are 2 teams, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of, but I love that you said that about Vegas. We wouldn't be here. The gambling guys wouldn't be here if we didn't love Vegas in itself, right?
Right.
And I just, what was it, 10, 15 years ago, it was they tried to change it away from Sin City. And there was kind of a bunch of families that were going there. And now they've embraced bringing in a whole bunch of sporting, the arenas and teams. It's just a great atmosphere. And we're going to,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about Vegas. It used to be, this great gambling spot. Then they tried to make it family friendly, which is an absolute failure.
Oh, it's terrible.
And then they came back to, we are what we are. And there's a reason why there are a lot of lights here, because people like you and David Casino come and gamble. And we see it, like you said earlier, it's such a great entertainment source. Just anybody you talk to, you get on some of these apps, you bet, you go to Vegas. It's just, you got to treat it as it is. It's entertainment. don't get too hooked on it. And, as always, there's lots of sites and help out there if you do. I guess we should probably wrap at some point, huh?
Well said right there. We're loving what we're doing, but we want to make sure to put a disclaimer out there for everybody. So
I'll just say a couple of final words. One, folks, appreciate the patience and bearing with us as we get our brand up and running. We'll have contact info. We'd love some interaction from you in the future on subject matters you like. We love to talk about gambling. If there's something that you think is great, drop us a line, drop us anything to Pull Tab. We appreciate Pull Tab Sports. We appreciate all of our sponsors. And we'll hopefully see you sooner rather than later.
And we are going with Parlay Pete. Is that what we're doing?
We'll go with whatever you think the name of the week is.
Love you, Parlay Pete.
Good job, man.
Catch y'all later.
And we are out. Thanks, guys.